Have you guys ever wondered what it would be like if your old robot vacuum gave birth to a small baby robot vacuum? Well, I'd like to introduce to you today the Switchbot K10 Plus mini robot vacuum. So you may have already seen some videos come out on their parent product, the S10 robot vacuum, but this is their smaller version called the K10 Plus mini robot vacuum. Has a lot of the same capabilities as their larger version, but at a much smaller scale. So without further ado, here we go. All right, so you're gonna be able to pick this thing up straight from Switchbot for roughly 500 bucks. And obviously we have reviewed a lot of Switchbot products on the channel over the years, so Switchbot is pretty well known and does a pretty amazing job with all of their products. So this one hopefully will not disappoint. So let's get started. All right, let's get this box opened up here. Now, as you can see, tons of information on the outside of the box. Switchbot always does a great job at displaying everything there, so great marketing on that point. But if we get this lid popped open here, right there on the top, we got all the instructions and user manual information there for the vacuum. And then, of course, we take that little top part off. Next up is, of course, the vacuum itself. And you can see here it is in my hand. It is definitely smaller than any other robot vacuum that I've ever used. Let's see what else we got here. It looks like we got some brushes that are kind of attached to the bottom there to help with cleaning. And then here is the self-emptying base as well. And all this is pretty heavy duty. You can tell this is definitely not cheaply made. And if we pop this open here, it looks like we got vacuum bags inside here as well as mop pads. So remember, this can be used to mop the floor as well. You just attach that wet mop pad on the bottom and it will run through your kitchen or wherever and mop the floor. So that's kind of cool. Looks like there's also an extra filter in here as well. That's pretty much everything that comes in the box itself. Let's just go over the main specs for this vacuum. So first things first, the K10 is 50% smaller than any other robot vacuum on the market, so that's pretty cool. We of course have the self-emptying base, which is definitely a plus as well. Switchbot even says that you will only need to empty the vacuum every 70 days, which is crazy to even think about that, especially how small it is. It uses LiDAR for its navigation, and it even takes advantage of Silentech technology for almost noiseless cleaning, which is pretty awesome. Now, I know that its parent vacuum is a full-on mop, but the K10 Plus does support adding mop pads, like we talked about earlier, on the bottom to mop areas of your house, which is super cool. Lastly, it is boasting a super high suction power at 2500 PA. That's really nice, especially for this super small unit. But that's pretty much covers the main specs for this vacuum. Let's move on to the next step and get this thing set up in the Switchbot app. So here we are in the Switchbot app on my phone. So we're going to hit the plus in the top corner and we're going to say add device. And now we want to go down under the household section and we're going to select the K10 Plus there. So that's that new small mini robot vacuum. And now it's ready to start walking us through getting the vacuum added. So we need to power the unit on by flipping the switch underneath the top cover there. And then we're going to hold that clean button down until we hear a voice prompt. Once we do that, we'll be able to hit next. Now we are ready to get it into network configuration mode. Alright, so we're going to hold that clean button down again until we hear a voice prompt that says Wi-Fi has been reset. And then at this point, we are ready to put in our Wi-Fi credentials for our SSID. Now remember, this vacuum only supports 2.4 gigahertz, so it will not support 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. Once we have entered in our Wi-Fi information, then we can hit next and it will begin making that connection. And it looks like initially it will connect directly to the vacuum with kind of an ad hoc Wi-Fi network. And it will go through the process of getting the Wi-Fi information to the vacuum that way. So we'll give it a little bit of time to get connected to the network. And it looks like now we are ready to give it a name here. So in our house, we've always called our robot vacuums Roby. So we're going to go ahead and give it the same name here. We'll just say Roby. May end up even changing that to Roby Jr. We'll kind of see how that goes. But for now, we're going to call it Roby. We'll hit next, and now it kind of goes through the user guide setup for preparing the vacuum. So we can kind of fast forward through all of this. It looks like it already has a do not disturb time set there from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. I think it's a good start for now, so I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to change it. One of the first things that we need to do once we get that self-emptying base plugged in and the vacuum on the charger there is we need to do a whole house clean, which will allow the robot to go around using LiDAR and kind of map out the whole house. But at this point, we have the vacuum added to the Switchbot app, so let's go ahead and move on to the next step. And we'll kind of do a deep dive into the various options available to you within the Switchbot app. Okay, so here we are on the main screen for the vacuum here, and you can see it's already starting to build out the map of my house using that LiDAR. I haven't opened up all rooms to it yet, just because I've seen issues, at least in the past, with products that use LiDAR. They tend to get kind of overwhelmed, it seems like, so I've decided to try to open it up to the main areas of the house first, let it kind of build that out, and then little by little I'll add additional rooms to it. It just makes it a little bit easier. But as you can see, I can name rooms here if I want to make them a little bit easier to understand here on the map. I have the ability to empty the dustpan here manually. It will do that automatically over time as it vacuums. If we tell it to clean in order, it will go by the order you have selected. So that's pretty cool. There is an option to choose mode here, whether it's vacuum mode or mop mode, using the mop pads that it came with. You can get pretty granular with your cleaning plan as far as basically setting the suction power per room. So that's pretty cool. So if you have carpet in some rooms and you want it to have that stronger or max suction power, you have the ability to do that as well. If we hit more down here towards the bottom, There's a few more options here. So we already talked about the map and some of the things that you can do with that, but we also have the ability to set a cleaning schedule. So I don't have one set up just yet, but that is something that I am going to be doing. There's different voice packages that you can download depending on what your interest is or what you might want. There's even an RC mode feature, which will allow you to actually control the vacuum movements with your phone. Now you do have to be on the same Wi-Fi network as the vacuum, so I am currently not, and that's why I'm not able to do that, but that would be a pretty cool feature, and maybe we can showcase that at the very end of the video. If you have lost the vacuum somewhere in the house, maybe it got stuck somewhere in a room and you can't find it, then you can do a find robot, and it will locate the vacuum using its voice prompts and stuff, so that's pretty cool. And then lastly, down here you can view the life of the current accessories. Of course this is pretty new to me, so all of mine are pretty new. You can see the life on them is still a pretty high percentage there, so don't need to be changed yet, but it will show you the life there, and you can obviously change them as they get lower. But if we go to settings up in the top corner, we can see the name listed there at the top. And you can see I did end up changing it to Roby Jr., so I had to do that. It's just this little guy is so small, I wanted to had to go ahead and add that Jr. onto the end of his name. But under room, you can change the room. And for some reason, the only one listed there is kitchen, which is kind of strange. Not sure why there's not any other room options there, but maybe there's another place to add them somewhere else. I haven't found it yet. We have our do not disturb time that we talked about in the setup of the video. By default, it is 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., which to me I think is a pretty good do not disturb time, so I don't see any reason to change that. Basically, it will not run during that time frame. Now we can adjust the voice prompt volume here, so even at 30%, I feel like it's pretty loud, so I don't know that I would go much louder than that, but maybe if your house or place of business, wherever you're using this, is loud, you certainly can turn the volume up there so that you can hear it in case it needs to notify you of anything. Dust collection settings, I have it set to regular, which will dump every 75 minutes. So basically, once it reaches 75 minutes of vacuum time, whether it's in the middle of a cleaning or not, it will go over there, empty out its bin, and then continue on cleaning. And of course there is a light mode, which will wait even longer, or an enhanced mode, which would make it dump even more often than the 75 minutes. And obviously you do have that button on the front that allows you to dump it whenever you want manually. You can turn the button light off. That's the button light on the vacuum itself. Maybe if you want it to be more hidden, not really sure why you would want to turn that off. It's not very bright anyway, so pretty hard to see unless you're actually looking for it. Reduced collision mode. So if you are having issues with it bumping into things and knocking things over, then you can certainly turn this on. It does warn you that it will possibly not clean as thoroughly if you have that enabled. Now, until I get my whole house mapped out, I do have that on, and I probably will leave it at least until it kind of gets through the whole house and gets everything mapped out. It has a mode for carpet, which I am not taking advantage of. I don't have any carpet in my house, so I'm not really worried about that, so I've kind of left that unchecked. Obviously, cloud services is where you would set up your Google Home and Alexa configuration and stuff like that. But other than that, under firmware version is where we can go to check for updates on firmware. And then lastly, device info shows us all of the info on the device that we may need to know. But that pretty much covers all the settings available to us within the app. Let's go ahead and move on to the last step, and I will kind of give you my final thoughts. So I wanted to show a couple more things here, stuff that I didn't get to go into great detail about. So here I am editing the map, and as you can see, we can change the names of the rooms if we wanted to. So right here, I can call this one Hallway 1. So I can even break up the rooms a little bit as well, more than it does by default. So So I have this big room here, which is kind of my living room, but it also has another room combined with it. So if I want to split that up, I can just draw a line across the spot that I want to split the rooms up at. And then I'll basically have 2 rooms instead of the 1. So I can name this one Mud Room because it's kind of the back room of the house right by the back door. And then this allows me to change that other one back to just living room. So then I have those 2 rooms kind of separated out there. And that's all I wanted to show you on that. So here you can see some footage of actually cleaning. You can see the brush spinning around there as it's rolling back to the docking station. And I feel like it does a pretty decent job. As far as the mop goes, I wanted to go through kind of the setup of how you set this one up to mop. So there's a little plate that's stored in the lid of the docking station. So you pull that lid off here, you're going to snap that onto the bottom, kind of covering up that roller. That's kind of where that goes, but basically you want to put a wet mop pad, and they provide you with some, but you can use just a standard wet wipe that you might get at the store, and you just kind of fold it around that plate, and then you install the plate back on there. And it has a magnet on there, so as soon as you put it into place, it recognizes that that plate is on there and it's automatically switched to mopping mode. So that's pretty cool there. And so you can kind of see some footage there of it mopping, and I think it does a pretty good job. Probably what I should have done, you can see in this last clip, that mop pad got really dirty. Basically, I probably should have swept the floor, let it go through and just did a regular cleaning first before I told it to mop. Probably would have come out a little bit better there, but nonetheless, it does work, and it did actually do a fairly decent job. One last thing I wanted to show you is the RC control. Now, we looked at this in the previous step a little bit, but I didn't have it working yet. So basically you can set this thing up to remote control it and kind of turn it however you want. You can see me going around the hallway there and kind of moving it around, and I'm just using my phone to control it. So that's a pretty cool little deal. Not sure that I would use it a whole lot, but maybe if you had an area that didn't get cleaned well and you wanted to do that, you should be able to set that up. So that's pretty cool. So my final thoughts. All right, $500 for a self-emptying robot vacuum that is 50% smaller than your average robot vacuum is pretty awesome. And on top of that, it works with the Switchbot ecosystem and even has the ability to add a mop pad and mop the floor. This thing is going to be great, especially for small houses and apartments. But if you break up your rooms and allow it to clean certain areas at a time, I think you won't have an issue with it cleaning larger homes as well. And the fact that it's so much smaller than your average vacuum, it can get in tighter places so much easier. I'll try and do a follow-up video in a few months to kind of tell you how it's going. But so far, it has worked really well. As always, I'll have a link to Switchbot's website in the description below. If you aren't interested in this product, head over there and see what else they have to offer, and I guarantee you'll find something that you do like. I want to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, head over to my spring merchandise page and check out all of the Burns home automation merchandise. If you're looking for the latest smart home gear, you're going to want to check out SmoNet. I'll have a link in the description below. Head over there and see what deals they currently have running. And if you're looking for the latest smart window treatment, you're going to want to check out Smartwings. I'll have a link in the description below for them as well. Head over there and see what deals they currently have running. And if you're interested in buying and selling stock or maybe cryptocurrency, you're going to want to check out Robinhood. I'll have a link in the description below. If you sign up with that link, you and I both will get a free share of stock. It's a win-win for both of us. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. As always, if there are any videos out there that you'd like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well. I'll see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around.